What's up, guys? I'm Lee Morse with fstoppers.com. Beside me here is Joey Wright, one of the top guys in the swimwear photography game, and we are currently in Curacao. We rented out this incredible house, and for the last 10 days, we've been filming the most incredible tutorial I've ever worked on. Talk a little bit about what we've been doing.
It's been very cool. We have basically done all the ins and outs of swimwear photography, my routine, how I pose, work with models, lighting. I mean, really, like everything I know, pretty much. We've sort of just put out there over this last 9 days or
Just
so.
the amount of locations we've been to on this island have been amazing, and then just shooting around this house has been amazing.
Yeah.
So if you guys are interested in that, if you're watching this on YouTube, we'll put a link to like the pre-order thing, or like you can sign up for an email blast or whatever when it actually comes out. And if this is on F-Stoppers, you'll see a link in the post as well. But anyway, we're about to do a critique the community here. We're going to go through 20 pictures, and the way this works, Joey, you've never done this before, right?
No, I have not.
Okay, so we're going to look at the picture. We're going to go 3, 2, 1, and we're going to throw a number, 1 through 5.
Okay.
1 is a snapshot, so like anybody with any camera, like a cell phone,
All right.
without any thought, just took it.
Yeah. Okay.
2 needs work before it hits your portfolio.
Okay.
3 is a solid image, so it's like it could be in your portfolio, and you could start making money with pictures like that.
Yeah.
4 is excellent, and then 5 is world class, unbelievable, unforgettable. Like we rarely give out 5-star.
Okay.
images.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start with this first image here, and I'm kind of on the fence here, but I think I've got a number. Do you have a number?
Yes.
All right, here we go.
Wait, what was 2 again?
2 needs
a little work before it
it's
hits
your
portfolio.
portfolio, but like 3 is a solid image. So we'll
Okay.
you'll kind of figure it
All
out
right,
as you
okay.
go. But let's see
Okay.
what we give it here. 3, 2, 1. You give it a 3. I give it
Yeah,
a 3.
okay.
Okay, we're on the same page.
All right.
I'll let you talk about it.
I think it's great composition, great pose. So a couple things composition-wise. I like that one. We have a straight horizon. I'm like big on that. I know that sounds like a simple thing, but I see that Dutch angle all the time. But I like that. The horizon's not cutting right through the center of the photo. There's just a nice balance there compositionally. It's kind of lighter on the top half of the photo, darker on the bottom. So there's sort of a dark light contrast going on between half of the frame. And then also her pose is interesting. I like that you can see both arms, both legs, even though it's a side shot. And that's one of the things that happens all the times when you get a profile. Usually you'll lose a leg or lose an arm or something like that. I'm big on making sure that everything's showing. And I like the whole overall image. The only thing I would maybe give it a little critiquing on is, and again, maybe this is because it's a little bright out here, hard to see, but it just looks to me a little heavier on the post-processing. Her skin looks super smooth, and I don't see much detail there. So I know, like in the commercial world, if you can make it look like there was no retouching, then you're doing good. But here, to me, it does.
Mm-hmm.
It does yell out a little bit of like post-production has been done here, kind of.
Okay.
So
I love the lighting. I love the pose. I love like the mood. I think the post processing is a little much for me. Like it's very bright out here, so it's hard for us to kind of see the colors and stuff. But the colors look a little wacky in this to me.
it looks like it has a it has a filter effect on it, and I think now generally people are aware with Instagram that you can throw a filter, and to me that's kind of what it looks like. And I think it can, if done too heavy, cheapen a photo a little bit, look like sort of a shortcut. But then again, there's times where the original colors they're just not cutting it as far as the vibe in the photo. And I think this one didn't necessarily need so much of a heavy filtered look, but it's still overall, it's a cool image. So
Next up.
okay, I got my number.
I'm kind of on the fence about this. I think I know what you're going to give it. I'm going to be a little nice.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Yeah. So
all right.
2.5 is kind of where I would go on this. Say why you gave it a 2.
So 2 meaning it needs a little more work before hitting the portfolio. I think it's cool. Now, I just talked about straight horizons. This one doesn't have that, and that's fine. I think, it can add a little bit of a candid feel when you sort of throw off the horizon, because it would give kind of the perception that maybe the person with the camera was moving too. You know, I don't think that's a deal breaker here, so I'm not too worried about that. But I should point out, since I just mentioned it one image ago. But to me, the big standouts are that it's just really hot, like the highlights on her.
Yeah.
And I think it's not really that flattering for her face. It could have been worse, like where the nose shadow is. If she had turned her face down and rolled it more to the sand, I think it would look pretty bad, because that shadow being cast off her nose. If that went to the side and it just basically makes the shadow of a giant nose, like that would be bad.
Yeah.
You know, so it wasn't the worst position for the lighting, but it's still, to me, a little bright. Something that maybe with a scrim or something could have helped just cut it down and soften it a little bit, because you have this nice soft background. It's a really relaxed pose, so it sort of has an overall softness to the image, except for the light, which is like super harsh.
I gave it a 3 just because I think the lighting is harsh, but I wouldn't say the shadows are harsh in the sense that they're really dark. Maybe he brought them back in post.
Yeah.
Maybe it's reflecting back off the sand. I don't
Yeah.
know. But I really like the position of her face and the fact that she's looking out of the corner of her eye.
Yeah.
And the shadows don't look offensive to me
Right.
here. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
If she had turned her nose more, it would look really bad.
Yeah.
But that's why I gave it a 3. I figured you'd give it a 2. Next up.
Okay, cool.
This looks very similar. I got hired like when I first got into photography to do some swimwear stuff, and it looked very similar to this.
Yeah. Okay, I got my number on this one too.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars.
Twos. Okay.
Needs a little work. I would say the reason why I gave this a 2, her pose is like really awkward and weird. The way she's kind of like leaning forward. She doesn't seem comfortable.
Right.
I don't necessarily mind her facial expression. Like it's somewhat of a decent smile looking out of the corner of her eye, but it just all looks so uncomfortable to me.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say that the pose looks uncomfortable. It looks like something I would never see a person doing. So I guess. And
Well, none of the pictures.
I know, yeah, to a point. But there's also a point where, I mean, personally, when I'm posing a model, I try to get them to, like, I don't like this move, because
Yeah.
it's like, this is just, when you see that, you think of like a photograph. It's
Yeah.
a pose. It's
Yeah.
not a natural gesture. So she's kind of like grabbing her neck, and I think it's showing the hand a little awkwardly. Like, personally, if I'm posing, I always say I like to see the side of the hand, not the top or the palm. But in this case, I'm getting the big top of the hand, and like I see 2 fingers, and it's just sort of, it's like, well, what's she doing? Is her neck sore? But on the other hand, she could have been directed to bring your hand up into the hair and just move the hair off your face, and I'll shoot that as the pose. So I think that could have been maybe directed a little better as far as giving her something to do. I can tell she just basically was just trying things, and
Yeah.
so. Not my favorite pose. Also, the light hitting her from the left side of the photo it's a little hot. I mean, I think it gets to a point where it's just a little flat
Would you have
looking.
moved more around to the right to make that highlight a little?
Yeah, I think with just a little maybe better positioning of the camera, because those highlights are the first thing you see. So it takes you, which is basically taking you away from her face. You know what I mean? I think that the face is always the sort of thing you want to see first in a photo, in the eyes, and that's really where you want to connect. But it is like really hot in the lower left portion of this photo, so that just takes your attention like straight down there, and it kind of, I think, keeps you there for a second. So I think it's doing some poor redirecting because it's so bright. So maybe cut down again with a scrim or something, and just help it make it look like a nice little edging effect, and also by, like you said, maybe turning a little bit and just letting that just edge out the side just a little bit.
All right. This one's tough because it's a dark image, and the sun is like coming
Yeah.
in here.
Okay, I think I have. Oh man, let me just zoom in here real quick.
I'm on the fence here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go a little harsher than I might, but
Okay, cool.
3, 2, 1. 3 stars, solid
Yeah.
image.
I would almost give it 3.5. Would kind
Yeah,
of
I
be.
was thinking about giving it a 4, but maybe like the weak link to me might just be the model herself. Like her face. She's certainly a beautiful girl, but I'm just like, if I saw this as like a Prada ad or something,
Yeah.
I don't think this would be the girl that I would cast for this shot. is
Yeah,
what I'm trying to say.
and I think we're, we definitely go into another level of nitpicking.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good thing because this is a great photo.
Yeah,
So, in a sense, the fact that if we're kind of getting that nitpicky, that means that generally like all the main bases are covered on this one. So, which I think the lighting's awesome. It's not it's not blown out. It keeps you looking at the face. I think gets the nicest light. The body is just kind of about the curves, and I think that's really well done. So overall, I say I think it's a great image. Definitely worth paying for. If the client was maybe the jewelry line or,
Yeah.
which I think this would be more for like a selling jewelry than it would a swimsuit.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
Or could even venture into like the more of a fine art category. But I think if you go fine art, then that's where I think, like you said, the model might be the wrong choice, because once you kind of start getting into like fake parts, it's I think you start moving away from art and it starts becoming,
Glamour type stuff.
selling glam, a fantasy kind of deal. So I think it's a little. There's almost like an identity crisis happening where is it glamour or is it art,
Yeah.
because I think those are two that are kind of hard to cross.
Next up.
Okay. All right, I got my number on this one.
Ugh, I'm on the fence here. I'm be a little rough.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars.
Okay.
We agree again.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay, so it's certainly not a snapshot. So it's
Right.
definitely not a 1. 2, meaning that it just needs some work before hitting the portfolio. That's where I would go with it. I think it's a great shot. There's a lot of cool stuff going on here. It definitely catches your attention. It looks like maybe a beauty dish shot, a single light beauty dish is my guess, because those shadows are still a little harsh, a little hard on the edges, so it doesn't look like necessarily a softbox. But either way, I think the pieces are here, but there's just a few things that are off. I'm not crazy about the composition. It's keeping like so much headroom in the shot, and for what? If you have the choice to maybe show more of the model, get her tighter in the frame.
Well, I think do you see this like rainbow orb above?
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
if that's real or if that was added in post,
I
but
see.
like that changes the composition. And
Okay, I didn't. You know what? I couldn't even see that from my angle. But all right, I get it now. I get what they were doing with that. The horizon is a little off. I think if you're going to go like crooked horizon, then either
Yeah, you're right.
work into the shot as showing movement, or you want it to just be off, or just get it straight. That one, it looks like it's almost straight. So I would think that's such a simple fix in post, to just straighten out horizon. And that's just like one of those detail things that, I think if you look at guys who are doing it professionally, you'll see consistency in all of those little details,
Yeah.
But here also, this is a great example of, I think there are these, just basically, if you want to break it down most simply, there are two ways to light if you're going to bring in off-camera flash. And it's either to do it for effect, which I think is how it's been used here, or you do it to basically recreate a natural look, something that could exist, like you're lighting to make it look like this is window light coming in from somewhere, and you control the warmth of it or whatnot. Here, it's simply for effect because this is not natural looking at all. This is not like you can walk out on the beach and see this. So it's definitely lit for effect. And I think with that said, the pose is maybe a little boring. She's got a pretty relaxed, almost natural pose, but this super unnatural lighting and scene. And so that part doesn't really tie together. And then her face is just not really like doing anything for me.
That's my
expression-wise.
biggest issue is her expression is just like I like her knees up pose. I
Yeah.
don't like the fact that her front leg is kind of covering that back leg. That feels a little awkward to me. But then her facial expression is just like,
It's just
"Are
kind
we
of
done
meh.
yet?" or whatever.
Yeah, she's not really into it.
But I see so much potential here, especially
Yeah,
with that
it's-
little rainbow effect on
And-
top. It's really cool.
It would be easy to go out there with like one light and make a really bad image. You know, this is not a really bad image by any
No,
means.
it's
You
not.
know, so definitely the photographer, they know what they're doing. I mean, they just I think could get a little more detailed. Also, just when you're using a beauty dish here, you can see that the legs really trail off. So basically, she's lit kind of toward the shoulder, and that's probably the hottest spot coming or where the light is pointing at. So you can see it gets her face well, and it starts to trail off just above the knee, and then her legs are pretty much in the dark. You know, this would be maybe a nice way to use the graduated filter in Lightroom to just create a little bit more of an exposure from the bottom up, and then bring the legs back into it and balance out that lighting. So again, it looks like a little spot. It looks like a spotlight on her in a sense. I feel like that's what a viewer might see. And
What would you think about putting her on the knees, you getting down on her level, that you'd have less fall off with the light because there'd be less of her? Would you do something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one way to handle it. You know, if you have a small light source instead of maybe going full body, then like you said, you could condense the pose to something kneel down, or just do a 3/4 shot. I think here, just like you did a second ago, this is actually a stronger shot. I think if you crop it above the knee and right above the head, because she looks good, but I think there's just a lot of sort of wasted space there with nothing
We just zoomed
super
into
interesting.
the picture.
Yeah.
And I like it too. If I don't see below the knee,
Yeah.
it looks like it's properly lit at
Yeah.
that point.
So
Next up,
okay.
how do you like those feet?
Yeah, they're. It's a good thing the butt is right there to take your eyes away from the feet, but yeah, that's definitely something to try to fix. Okay,
You
I
ready?
think I have my number here. Yeah.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars. We agree again.
So I just want to say real quick with the rating system, one thing that kind of sucks is that if we give a 2, that seems so low, like when you're rating something, right?
It does.
So
It does.
I think it's worth noting that, 2s just mean, like you said earlier, we think it needs a little help to get into the portfolio.
Yeah.
And 3, like, hey, you should be making money, which is good. If you're at 3s, like, you're in a good place. So,
But if you're like, I would say the majority of professional photographers probably have like a 3 average portfolio.
Right,
But then
exactly,
the people
yeah.
like getting to the top
Yeah.
of their field have the 4 and 5 star average
Yeah.
portfolios.
Yeah.
The rating system is a little weird in that sense, but we didn't want to go with like a 10 star rating system and
Right,
then like
yeah,
have to
yeah.
nitpick every single
Yeah.
star.
But yeah, so 2 is not even horrible. That just means, like, okay, there's a couple little things, but
Right.
with some small fixes.
So I'll start with this one. The light, I'm not a huge. I don't hate it. I think it could be a little bit more directional. Like I might have brought the light up a little bit more and cast some shadows like down on her.
Yeah.
I think that would have looked a little bit more natural with the way the sun is. But my biggest issue is her pose. Her face looks very uncomfortable.
Yeah, even though you can only see a little hint of it.
Yeah, it feels like she's in between poses. And after filming Joey work for the last 10 days, he did 4 or 5 hours on posing. We were right over there, and he goes through every detail. Like he's talking about finger placement and toe placement. And so I see a bunch of stuff now that I would have never seen before. This pose it's not quite there yet.
Yeah, like one thing is I think if you can elongate your model through posing, you're always doing them a favor. She's got her knees bent away from the camera, so it's really shortening her legs. Now, I also would think that if the legs were just straight out, that would look really weird. But maybe somewhere in between straight and bent, where her knees are bent to now, she'd look a little longer in the legs. And you pointed out the feet. I think that would have been something to just either clean up in post.
I don't
or,
know how you clean that up in post. You'd have to redraw the feet.
It would definitely take some. Yeah, it wouldn't be a quick, 2-spot, brush tool fix. But yeah, it's. I I don't know. I like the scene is awesome. The lighting's really cool and dramatic. And
You liked where the flash pop's coming from?
okay, so the lighting. Well, I was talking more about the backlit.
Okay.
You know, the natural light. So it looks like the sun's back there, and then they're just throwing a little fill from just a little bit to the left of the camera because you can see those shadows on the right side of her hair. I almost think they would have been better just leaving it because it's just cool, natural scene.
She might be
Maybe
like totally black though.
Yeah, I get that the trade-off would be, you know, you don't want her to be a silhouette maybe, because they're trying to show the suit. And I don't know what the purpose of this photo was. Is it to sell the suit or not? Because, okay, cool, they're showing this, well, at least the back of it on this one. But I would guess that this was meant to be more of a just kind of sexy, artistic look. And I just think, yeah, maybe it could have been a little moodier by not lighting her so much. I don't think she necessarily needed all that fill. I think you'd still get the idea. It's not like we see her face. So, you know, even if she was a little darker, we're not really missing out too much. But I think that would have helped add to a nicer, natural feel. But good image overall.
Yeah. Next up,
Okay.
I'm not sure this is swimwear photography, but she is swimming. So
Yeah. Okay.
We'll count it.
She's doing something there. All right.
This one's hard for me, but I'm ready.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. 2
Yeah.
stars again. I kind of like the vibe of this a lot. I really just don't like the light on her face and her facial expression. It's just not flattering to me to have those harsh shadows, and she doesn't look like, oh, everything's beautiful and I'm throwing my head back. It just looks like this really stiff, uncomfortable thing to me. If I might have just turned her a little bit more into the sun,
Yeah.
had the light hitting the front of her face, it might have been a little bit more flattering at that point.
I think one hard thing about critiquing is we don't know what the photographer's intention was, you know, what the final, you know, output of this photo would be. So since I can only judge this on face value, yeah, this is not something I would, you know, have hanging in my house. I think it's a beautiful photo. I think compositionally it's done really well. I don't really have many issues with it, and the reason I gave it a 2 is where I see it definitely needs some maybe a little detail work is as I zoom in, the face has a really strange like stippled effect to it. It's like it doesn't look like I don't know if it's over sharpening on a high ISO image.
I think it might be like pulling the shadows back really hardcore and then adding sharpening and
something to it. But if you look at this up close, there's a really strange texture effect on the hair, the skin, and I mean it's kind of like a fantasy image, you know. It's got this dreamy look to it, but you know, I still look at some of those details. I think this would be meant to serve as like an art piece where I could see it being printed really large.
Yep.
But if you walked up on this thing and it was printed large, and I don't know, to me that whatever's going on, whether it's over sharpened or there's some kind of little effect applied, I think it just kind of cheapens it a little bit.
Next up.
Okay.
Ready?
No, I'm not ready yet. Hold on. Okay, let me just look at the detail a little bit. Okay.
3, 2, 1. Wow, you went 1 star. The reason why I wouldn't give this a 1, like, this doesn't seem like a shot that like my dad would have just taken of one of us kids sitting at the beach.
know,
you know, it's a little bit more professional than that.
Yeah.
But just go at it.
Well, we just gave some pretty great photos a 2,
yeah.
and I don't think this fits in the class of those photos. And I would agree. I mean, if I was maybe had a little more room on the scale, I'd give it like a 1.5. But
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, we did combine.
Yeah. So I don't think it's not like a total. I mean, I don't know. I see people I see this on like friends. A girl will take a picture of her friend and they'll put it on Snapchat or Instagram, and it could look much like this. The only difference being that a camera would never give you the depth of field, or you know, a DSLR.
Yeah.
And or I'm sorry, iPhone would not give you this depth of field. But Yeah, it's like if you gave somebody a nice camera with a lens and maybe they understood how to focus it correctly, or if it
Yeah.
was on like an auto exposure mode and an auto focus mode, like, I don't know. I think that somebody, the girl's friend could have taken this photo
It's
just as well.
The horizon's not straight. It's really weird the way her head is leaning into the frame, but then completely blocked by.
Yeah,
her hair.
I don't know what I'm supposed to look at
Yeah,
here.
it's just kind of like this seems like a test shot for your lighting before you started
Right.
taking pictures.
Yeah, just to maybe pick up on a few small things. The horizon is, again, slightly askew. Also, one thing, and I've talked about this in filming over the last few days, is I don't like seeing horizons chop through people's heads, and that's exactly what it's doing here. I think that's just kind of like an odd position for the horizon. And yeah, she's just sort of plopped in the middle of the frame. There was nothing interesting done compositionally, so that's why I give it a 1. I think this looks like, yeah, an in-between shot.
Okay.
Okay, I can.
Ugh, I'm on the fence here.
Yeah, me too.
I'm gonna be a little hard. Okay.
Oh man, you're making me rethink mine. Okay,
3, 2, 1.
okay.
2 stars.
2. All right.
What were you thinking I was gonna give? I was
I
in
thought you were
between a
gonna
2
go
and a 3.
1.
I was
Okay.
in between a 2 and a 3. I don't hate the pose or the expression on her face. I just feel like here's the thing. If you were a professional swimwear photographer and you got hired to do some stuff, don't you think this could be a shot that like you give to the client and they might like it or not like it or whatever, but like you just probably wouldn't put in your portfolio. Like
Yeah.
you probably got better stuff that day.
Yeah.
But,
yeah,
but it's not a horrible image.
Yeah, I don't think it's portfolio work. I don't think it's the type of image that you would use to sell your work to potential clients. So
There's like somebody like in a backhoe just like pushing rocks around behind us.
yeah, I don't think it's just kind of lackluster to me. You know, the model looks cute, so the scene though is just a little boring. I don't know. I don't really love it. The lighting is just kind of flat. She's just basically in the shade, but it looks like it was taken not exactly midday, but probably let's say 10 in the morning when light is pretty harsh. But you can see that beyond her, you do have that harsh sunlight, and then she's just stuck in a really cool shadow, which I think is also, it's not, her skin tone is also a little off from that being in the shade, in the cooler shade. So, I don't know, I think she could be warmed up just a hair maybe, but.
All right, next up. Are you ready? Make sure you spin that around so they can see.
Yeah.
We can get that money from Kool-Aid.
Delicious. Okay. All right. Yeah.
3, 2, 1. 3 stars. You know what's interesting is like I think at the beginning I knew you were gonna do a 2 and I gave it 3, but we've been very much on the same page.
I think we're seeing eye to eye on these.
Yeah. So what do you think about this one?
I think it's a beautiful shot. Oh, hold on. Let me fix that. There we go. Okay. Usually that never happens. I mean, I never have a problem getting these to stand.
It's true. even when you drank them, they just stand up so perfect. Oh.
Okay. A couple things. I think that if she was intentionally placed into the scene to, pick up, I'm guessing, there's probably a lot of angles to shoot at without those flowers. I think that the fact that they tied in that color from the location, which matches up nicely with the suit, which has a floral pattern with red in it, so it just ties in together. So the styling was good, the location was good. I like the lighting. The only thing I would nitpick on this one is her expression. She just looks a little like mean.
It's crazy. Like I'm thinking exactly what you're thinking as you're saying it.
Yeah,
I
so
just like, man, just the littlest hint of a smile,
Right.
or like pulling those glasses down and looking over the top of the glasses and this kind of like, I see you over there type look.
Yeah.
Would have fit so much better with these colors.
yeah, it's fun. It's a fun location. It's a fun suit. I think the expression could be a little more fun, inviting, and or welcoming, But it just kind of she's kind of got that resting bitch face,
Yep. Next up.
All right, cool. Can I zoom in real
Yeah.
tight on this for a second? All right. Okay.
Okay, I'm ready. 3, 2, 1. I gave it a 3-star. I actually prefer the last shot more. I do not like the lighting on her face. It's like too much light coming from below or something. It's too even, and I just don't like. I don't like the fact that it feels like there's light coming from 3 directions and it's just flattening out her face.
You know what I think's going on there? I think it's too much dodging and burning in post.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's what's kind of giving a sort of unnatural lighting effect on her face.
Because like if I look at her hand that's being held down,
Yeah.
I love that natural gradient that's coming
Yeah, it's
across.
just sweeping
and I
into
want to
her-
see
yeah.
that on her face too. But
Right.
instead, it's like this weird highlight on the left side of her cheek that like,
Yeah,
where's that
I-
light coming from?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I was thinking this was just a little bit overdone in post because it sort of killed. There was basically a nice soft side light on every other part of her body.
Yeah.
Looks like.
Yeah,
and
like
then,
the suit looks great with that highlight down the right
So
side.
it could either be two things. It could be they have this light coming in from the side, and I'm not sure. I'm guessing this was not shot
Like
at
it's
this
a
location.
composite?
Yeah, this looks like a composite to me. But I'm not saying it's a bad composite at all. Actually, it looks nice. The hair looks pretty good around the edges. But yeah, it does look a little. Well, there's one problem with this background is that the light in the background is coming actually in from the left.
From
If
the
you
other
look at
side.
the pattern in the sand,
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
getting its shade to the right. So it's actually, I think these little things, even though the average viewer is not going to go and nitpick that, it just throws it off and makes it feel a little fake,
And do you think you could have reversed
You
the
could have flipped the
background?
image, yeah. The image could have been flipped, and then the lighting would have matched with that on the subject. And then it also looks like that, even though she was maybe lit by a large softbox over here, it looks like she was lit with something smaller from top left of the camera. Either that or just a lot of dodging in post. So
Yeah, because there is like an unnatural light on her hip, hand, and arm as well. Like we
right, I feel
we
like
wouldn't see that.
yeah.
So
There's definitely a more. There are more than one lights used in this scene, but it's kind of just I think a little jumbled,
next up, we still both gave it 3 stars.
Yeah,
though, didn't we?
styling's awesome. The model's beautiful. Like the color, it's yeah. Maybe I'll give more of the positive critiques first because this is definitely it got a 3 because it is definitely portfolio worthy. But yeah, there's just some little nitpicking.
Like with just a few changes, like I could easily give that a 4-star.
yeah, absolutely.
This is very interesting. This is like I guess this is a composite too. This was shot in the studio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, how did they get the yellow light outside?
Yeah. No, I don't think that's the sun.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I love it. Like it's
We didn't
it's
rate it
not,
this yet.
It's not. Yeah. Okay. I'm kind of on the.
All right.
I'm gonna go nice on this. 3, 2, 1. Whoa!
Yeah.
We were 2 off here. I gave it a 4-star. I love how funky this looks. You gave
Okay.
it a 2 though.
I'll tell you why I give it a 2 because I think that it could use work before getting in the portfolio for a few simple reasons. I am not crazy about the framing of this shot at all. I don't like that both of her hands get chopped off right at the wrists. I don't like even that the one leg that is, you get one
Yeah.
leg in frame. There's just a few things, and I'm not sure. Again, it's hard to not without knowing the intention of the shot. Is this for the swimwear? If this is for the swimwear, well, we have the pose covering up the bottom of the swimsuit with one arm. But if this is just for a shot, you know, to just have a pretty shot of a model, yeah, she looks beautiful. She looks a little mean. I would say that.
To me, this feels, instead of like the beachy swimwear stuff, this feels like fashion photography to me.
Hmm.
And it's like, it's not trying to be realistic and mimic the sun. It's
Yeah.
like creating this vibe
It's
and
definitely
style.
lit for effects,
Yeah.
right? It's not. Yeah, it's not lit to be natural because it doesn't look natural at all. And we spotted it right off, you know, right off the bat that it was shot in studio. There's like a weird black thing going on at the top of the green
That's
umbrella.
true. What is that?
That wasn't. I don't know what that is.
Up ahead.
Something in the back. So it's just they're like little things that seem a little off. I think this would have been. If this were maybe backed out a little bit more, show more of the pose, you know, maybe there were constraints based on shooting in studio, but you know, I don't know. I'm not crazy about the composition and the overall crop. So I think I saw a photo, another photo from this set earlier when we, you know, just kind of took a quick skim.
You were
through
like
some of the-
looking through the whole post.
Yeah, I looked through the post of the submissions, and I'm pretty sure there was another photo by this guy. It was the same model in the same studio that I actually liked a lot better than this one, because it was framed better and whatnot. But this one I'm not that crazy about. So
Couldn't we agree on 3 stars?
sure, I could do that. I
We
would.
can come together.
Yeah, I feel
over
like
the
we just
three.
had some other shots that were better threes, but and definitely there were shots that we gave twos that were not done as well as this.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I could go with a 3 on this.
All right, I'm ready. 3, 2, 1. 2 stars. This is one of these shots where, like, I'm sure you've seen it, where a lot of the current trends in photography are going much more to like this natural,
Yeah.
grungy type look,
Mm-hmm.
rather than this flawless look that
Yeah.
your style goes with.
Yeah.
And so, I think if this was a different model, like I could see this being a Sports Illustrated
Yeah.
model, being very similar to this with the pose and the way the rocks
Yeah,
are blown out,
yeah.
and it would work.
Yeah.
But with this one, it's just like, since it's not some world famous model, it just kind of looks a little cheaper.
Yeah, I would agree that this shot, same lighting, same pose, could work with, you know, I would expect to see something like that maybe in Sports Illustrated. But I know with them, they don't do too much of the super blown out stuff, and I know the main reason of that is simply because they print on a pretty thin paper, and when you shoot, say, for magazines, and you give these really blown out backgrounds, then what you allow for is the dark picture on the other side of the page or the text on the other side of the page to show through.
Really?
So this would sort of be steered away from for magazine because there's just so much, like, almost completely white, you know, on this image that it wouldn't work too well for something like that. You know, I could picture it on their website and that kind of stuff with, you know, more of a Sports Illustrated model.
Yeah.
But I think the styling is great. The suit is perfect for this look. It's super beachy, islandy. I love the use of the prop in it. I like the rocks. You know, there's interesting texture, background. I'd blow out the background of a lot of my shots. I mean, I don't have anything against that.
But
And,
there's like, you really over exaggerate the pose and the expression, and that's not here.
yeah, if I'm gonna do that, if I'm gonna get you know, an overexposed background, I would use it for effect, knowing that I'm gonna get maybe more of a silhouette look. So when you're doing that, or maybe, you know, letting half of the photo go, then what you are showing better be like on point. You know what I mean? It's got to be like a kick-ass pose with a killer model, because that's all you're left with once you start letting the background go completely and all that stuff. So that's something to consider too. You know, is maybe if you don't have the greatest model, and this girl is beautiful. I mean, I'm not saying she's not, you know.
But she may not be the
worthy of
best
it.
model. It's like,
Right, maybe not for that kind of look, you know?
Yeah.
In fact, it would be nice to see, you know, she's cute. She's got a kind of Hawaiian look.
Mhm.
So it fits the whole theme, but yeah, I think it's not like, you know,
they missed the horizon too.
it is definitely is crooked. Okay, I can, ready?
3, 2, 1. Gave it a 3. Man, the color of that water looks amazing. I just don't really like the pose and her facial expression that much. She's kind of just looks like out of it.
Yeah.
But man, if I still gave it a 3, like that's how much
Yeah.
I like
right.
it.
Right.
If she could have just, I don't know, cocked her head back a little bit more or something, and instead of the dead mouth, it's like
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah. I'm not crazy about her arm positioning.
Yeah, it just seems like she's passed out in the pool
Yeah,
on
it's
a float.
to start with the nice things, like you said, it's a great photo. I love the blue, like that really cool blue on her warm skin, and just getting that warmth, coolness contrast is great. So color-wise, it's awesome. I like that the glasses still tie into that blue. Like all the color and everything was tied together nicely in this photo. So you got blue in the glasses, blue in the water. She's the warmth that just completely stands off of the cool blue. And then black glasses, black swimsuit top with the dark hair. All works nicely. So it's cool. You know, definitely they put in some effort here, because, you know, it's definitely not an easy task to say, all right, I want to do the shoot. I want it to, you know, be beauty in the sense of her face and makeup, and yet at the same time we're going to throw you in the water. Like, that's, you know, you don't get a lot of chances once you put a model in the water like that. Mm-hmm. So I would say that it's overall pretty good, but yeah, the arms are maybe a little bit, you know, I don't know, kind of, I don't know what they're doing essentially.
Yeah.
Like, if she just reached back and like stretched out, I think that could have been cooler. Or if she maybe swung this arm that's in the front up and then looked through it, you know, then we could have, I don't know, it's right now it's sort of pointing at the camera. And I always tell models when I'm posing them, just don't point limbs at my lens. Like, so don't point your elbow at me. Bring it out, you know, on the inside or somewhere so I can see the length of parts. And it's not quite pointing, but it's in a sort of odd position that it kind of sticks out, that really the front of, you know, what's hitting you is her elbow, and not even her face. So
Next up.
I think I got mine on this one.
All right, I'm gonna be a little rough.
Okay.
3,
me too.
2, 1. Both gave it a
Yeah.
1 star. It looks like DSLR set to P mode or green square, and the flash popped up, and it looks like direct flash to me.
Yeah, she definitely has some flash going on, because it appears that the sun would be somewhere in the back to the left, and you can even, like, there's a fill on her. It's definitely not creating a big shadow, but you can see a little bit of that shadow under the fingers, so you can kind of tell there's definitely a flash. You can see the little highlight in her eye, and if the sun's behind her, well, it's coming from something bright on this side. So yeah, flash here, but it's just, to me, it's a boring background.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of sort of dead air, you know? It's like dead space back there.
And even if it wasn't boring,
Okay, so
her
if it wasn't
face
boring,
brings
she looks like she's bored. That's
yeah.
She's bored. It looks like.
she looks. I might even go to the point of like sadness.
I don't even know if she knew that she was at a photo shoot.
Or
I think she was with
did,
her-
and her most hated thing in the world is to be at a photo shoot. She looks
Exactly.
really
She just
sad
looks
and
sad
upset right now.
and kind of miserable.
And
So
just the way her shoulders
she's
are
slouching.
hunched.
Yeah, she's got like my posture, and she's kind of sticking. I mean, if I were posing a model, I would start at the very basis of like their body stance. Is that, look, you're in swimwear, you got to look confident. So let's get a confident posture, shoulders back, you know, chest out. I mean, I think that's one of the things that makes swimwear a lot different than posing for, you know, high fashion and studio. Is that with high fashion, you know, you're really just a clothes hanger for this clothes. So like all these shruggy kind of poses work well because they let the clothes sort of drape differently in each shot and whatnot. And the model is almost like a second thought, but like there's more model in a swimmer photo than there is clothes,
Yeah.
you know? So she's got to be like conscious of the whole body. There's nothing, she's not hidden behind some outfit, you know? So, you know, having that posture kind of bad and, but yeah, it's just very slouchy and her expression is kind of cold. Her lips are sealed, so it just looks like it conveys a little stress. Her eyes are just,
Yeah.
whatever. You know, I mean, it's so yeah, it's just boring background, bored look and expression. It's nothing there is selling that image to me. So. Okay, that's a tough one.
Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars. I
Yeah.
see a lot of potential here, but I don't know if she's like super short or it's that her knees are bent towards the camera.
Yeah. Well, if she's whether she's short or tall, whatever, she is definitely not helping by having those knees bent and pointing toward the camera. If she at least extended one leg all the way out,
Yeah.
and you would have got a little length out of that, and then bend the other knee over the top, that could be cool. But yeah, it makes her look really short, and women hate to look short. Like that's just something that will always be. Like they hate photos that make them look short or my legs don't look long. So at the end of the day, I'm always trying to think too, maybe if the shot it could be for a client, but I want that the model, whoever's in that photo, to love it as well. And I wouldn't think that she would necessarily love this photo. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it's
I
like,
love the graphic nature of this photo. I love the super contrasty black and white, and I love the this, what's this called, a shawl or something? I don't know what she's wearing. but
cover up. Yeah.
the fact that it's like draping down, it's just creating these really
Yeah,
interesting angles.
There's cool styling going on for sure. And the black and white, well, I think that's not really for me, I don't use black and white too much for beach stuff because I think of the beach as, fun, bright, and black and white to me goes with moody and kind of, if you want to add a little drama or mystery to your photo, black and white is a nice way to do that. Or black and white is a nice way to maybe focus in on contrast, which is what happens nicely here, so that color doesn't become a distraction. You really see this light, dark, constant contrast throughout the photo. So that part's cool. But yeah, it's I think a little better posing, and there are a couple things there that could be helped out, but it's definitely not a snapshot by any means.
Studio looking shot here.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Give it a 2. I gave it a 3. Why'd you give it 2?
Okay. The posing to me, and I think it's important to note that posing is super important, but it's even more important when you're shooting on just a studio backdrop. Okay, because you have nothing here to maybe bring some extra life to the photo. It's all about the model. It's all about her pose, right? So at least when you're shooting outdoors, maybe it's not the time to be so critical of posing. If there was a cool background out here and or some scene going on and it was telling some kind of story or something, here it's just her. It's just a model posing in front of a blue backdrop.
Yeah.
And I'm not crazy about these fingers. Her hand looks super veiny. I
think this is like a. She looks kind of like a bodybuilder type person. What's it called? When it's like a sports
fitness
swimwear type thing.
Yeah, fitness. Okay, so fitness models and fitness photography. There tends to be a different look. This is kind of an odd suit to have. It's like a pretty resort wear type of style, but then put in this really like strong, bold pose. So you have this soft, sort of soft feminine suit on this super strong, fitness. She could be like a fitness competitor or something like that. And so she's got a killer body. I don't know. It's just a little off though, and it's kind of random. And I'm not sure what this is selling, to be honest. I don't know if this is selling a swimsuit or glasses or her.
I don't know what it's selling either. I guess I just kind of I like the mood of this. It feels kind of graphic, like that black and white one that we looked at.
Yeah.
It's not anything what you do.
No.
But at the same time, I would imagine they're trying to show off her arms and shoulder and everything, and she looks really buff and strong.
Yeah.
The one thing that my eye goes right to is that tattoo. Like that.
Yeah.
I probably would have cut that out if I was trying to make this a little bit more general for my portfolio. But something about it just looks unique. It doesn't. it doesn't look like just like this standard crappy studio shot that
Yeah.
I'm accustomed to seeing. That's why I gave it a 3, but I certainly
I,
understand.
yeah, I guess this is maybe where I would break it down the simplest as far as my decision. If you're selling the model, if this is a shot for her portfolio, well, then I think you put the wrong suit on her. Because if you're trying to sell her as a fitness chick, well, her stomach, her abs are important, so we're hiding the model, right?
Yeah.
So if we're selling a fitness model, we're not really doing her a great service by covering her up with a one piece. So if that was the case, selling her, put on a two-piece bikini and then see her abs and everything that she works so hard for. On the other hand, if we're selling the swimsuit, that is not the model that I would put in that line. You know what I mean?
That
I would
just
look for
doesn't-
just
it doesn't work.
maybe a young, cute, softer model to go with this softer look of styling. So there's just a mismatch there to me. I think that is just throwing it off. And then if it were an art photo, I don't think she would be the right model for that either. So
Yeah. I'm with
another,
you.
I think, identity crisis here.
I'm with you on that. Ready when you are.
Okay. Man, there's just, like a couple little things holding me back on this one. But okay,
3, 2, 1. 2 stars.
2, yeah. Okay, I gave this 2. I think it's great lighting. Okay, it's flattering to
Is
her.
it great lighting? Like what's
For-
up with this
well-
weird shadow that's like
Yeah, there's
coming
some. Well,
across
that's
her
coming.
cheek?
That's because of her hair. So
But
yeah,
my-
there's a. I think overall the lighting is good. Those little shadow, those are fixes in posts. I would have cleaned up the shadows and highlights that are sort of blotched to the left side of her mouth.
Yeah.
But overall in the body, I like what's going on. It looks like basically this is a shot that was, sun is off to the left, but there was definitely some fill flash going on here because there's multiple shadows.
Yeah,
You can
what's
see
up
it on
with
the neck.
Shadow under her neck. It's like
Yeah.
they just have 2 lights really close to each other, firing down.
Yeah, there's kind of the lighting is a little mixed up here. It's not quite natural, but it's close. But there are some easy identifiers as to it not being natural. There's with the multiple shadows and whatnot, and I don't know, her expression. I think the biggest downside to this photo is her expression. She just
Yes.
looks like she doesn't know what she's
Here's-
trying to express.
Here's the
really.
thing. I think she definitely needs to do a little squint.
Yeah.
The mouth may not bother me too much, but
Right.
here the weirdest thing about this is that she's looking just past the camera.
Yeah.
I think if she turned her head a little bit more to the side and kind of had this like aloof look, like I'm looking out this
Yeah.
way, it might work a little bit. But the fact that her face is looking right at the camera, but her eyes are not,
Yeah, they're
It-
like just above the I don't know.
yeah,
They're-
it just feels very
She's just not
awkward.
selling it in the face. I don't know if she's trying to be, if she's trying to be sexy, she's not selling, being sexy in
Her
the face.
pose, yeah, not
Right,
in the
'cause
face, not in the face.
The body, the bikini is sexy, her body is sexy. I mean, she has a sexy look overall, and she's not, but then she has like a scared little girl face. And
Yeah,
that's kind
yeah.
of an odd combination, if you ask me.
Next up, ready when you are.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars.
Yeah.
I've taken a lot of pictures like this in my day.
Yeah.
It's like you might, you get a message from a girl on Model Mayhem or whatever, and
Yeah.
like she needs pictures for a report, and like it's not bad by any means. I just wouldn't put it in my portfolio. I feel like the lens choice is a little odd unless her head is really that much bigger than her body. I think it might be getting pulled up to the top a
Yeah.
little bit, and then just the fact that the light. You might want to back that light off a little bit so that it's even on her face and her lower body, because right now we're getting a lot of fall off.
Yeah, I mean, I would start right at the basics with this. I think it's just kind of a dull shot. I mean, the background is not that interesting. I could have seen if maybe it's got a reflective finish to it, right? So all the maybe what they thought would be a cool wood pattern behind her is gone, because that light is just so hot on her. And then her expression is just kind of like, I don't know what she's, I mean, that's the thing. If I can't tell in a photo, what it was meant for, if like in this case, I think she's trying to be sexy, but I think she's kind of failing at it in the expression-wise, you know. As far as the swimsuit, would it sell the swimsuit? Not really. It's kind of half of it. The bottom half is just really so dark. This would have been another nice, easy way to use the graduated filter to just lighten up a lot of the photos. Because a lot of guys in studio, with working with one light, and maybe that's the only light you own at that point, you always face that problem that, you know, you want to get that higher angle that kind of mimic the sun. That's sort of like the go-to positioning. But then you get the fall off, and then the body goes dark. So, you know, when you do that with one light, maybe in post, just try to, you know, balance out the scene a little bit with a quick graduated filter and bump the exposure on it, and that kind of helps and brings back in here. She's got a nice stomach and abs that, you know, could be maybe better highlighted with a little bit of brightening at the bottom here. So
This is a wacky looking shot.
this is okay. I think I have my critiques here.
All right, 3, 2, 1, 2 stars.
Yeah.
I definitely lean towards giving this a 1, but I think
Yeah.
it's like lit or reflected back or whatever. Like it's not.
There was
just
a little work
snapshot.
put into it. Yeah.
Take it away. I'll let you go.
Okay. I think first off, the thing I noticed the most is if I were going through my photos from the day and I would say this was the best one I had, I would definitely crop in on this because it's grass and you know
It's not
water.
even like good grass.
There's nothing. Yeah, the scene is just kind of meh. You know, so why show so much of this not so amazing background? You know what I mean? When you have a model in the center of the frame. So that would be the first thing. But let's say I go ahead and zoom in on her a little bit, which I'm just doing on the tablet here. Okay, still, what the hell is she doing out in the field? It's like, you know what I mean? It doesn't, I don't know, it's weird. It's not at the beach, but there's water there. So isn't there a coast over there? Isn't there some sand, maybe something to put her on? Because would anybody just go out and lay out in a field like that? I mean, maybe bring a little blanket or something and then kind of give this effect that she could be out getting some sun at a park. I don't know, but it looks like the beach was right there. Like I would have just gone and gotten totally
Yeah, but if you
more
notice,
sensible.
like the way she is styled and like the fact that she's wearing like hooker
Yeah.
shoes, this is not
I
swimwear
know,
photography.
it's
It's like this other thing.
This would definitely go into glamour photography, and she just happens to be wearing swimwear.
Right.
You know,
right.
but that's really what it is. It's a glamour shot, but okay, glamour shot. So that means that it's selling the model or it's selling, you know, a fantasy or something. I don't think it's selling that model though. Her expression just looks like she's a statue. Like I don't know. She might have died 5 minutes ago, and just that's how she's stiffened out. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
her nose being lit from the sun, and
That's
it
like
just,
the worst.
that shadow
man.
is killing it for the
Yeah.
face, and you.
It's like they took a Mr. Potato Head nose and went, and it's just.
It does look like a reconstructed nose. That it was like the first one. It didn't quite fit yet, but like we'll make this better.
We have the
You know?
technology.
We're getting the technology. So, but yeah, so right off the bat, the face is lit, very unflattering, and then the pose it's okay, but to me it's strange for being out in a field, you know. And then she's wearing heels out there. I think the styling is definitely needs some major help. The choice of model, I don't know. She doesn't seem like the type of girl that likes to go for a stroll in the park. I think she wants to go, like, you know, to a concert or something,
At
and
night.
you know, yeah, she's more of a night owl.
I have
Yeah.
to say though, like if you zoom just to like her torso and you can overlook the crazy highlights on the legs, like the lighting on her torso doesn't look that bad. Like there's
No.
it's
Well, maybe one thing that you can do here is if the lighting on the body looks good, well, that's now the easy part is just to tell her to point her head in a different direction to try to maybe reduce some of that harsh look on her face. So in this case, I would have said, okay, point your nose to the sun. So she would have got a nice, you know, flattering light just washing onto the face. And then the body as is would have been fine, because I think getting those shadows in the body just helps add to the fact that she does have a tone body and there's definition there that can be shown. So, you know, it makes her body look nice, but her head position could have simply just been moved like up and off to the sun, and then I think that would have done a major fix there. But I just still think overall it's kind of an out of place. The framing is it shows too much of a bunch of nothing. So that's kind of my main, yeah.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much for submitting these pictures. Again, the tutorial with Joey Wright, we're editing frantically while we're here, but
Yeah.
then I imagine we still probably have another month or two of work
Yeah.
on this. But there's an email list, so if you want to, get early access to this when it's released, we may even do some sort of discount for the people who do the early access email thing. Feel free to check that out in the post. But thanks so much for watching, guys.
Thank you.